building rapport, if you're good at being somebody that is willing to plant seeds every day and prospect, if you're willing to talk to people, if you're willing to problem solve, then you can make a lot of money. And then, of course, EXP, if you're willing to talk to people that you can add to your team and help them succeed, then you can access leverage, which is a beautiful thing. And technology has changed the way we do real estate today. So it's a beautiful, beautiful time to be involved in that. The first year I was a terrible agent. I made one sale. I knew nothing about sales. I almost ran myself into the ground with being tired and unsuccessful. And then one person looked me in the eye and said, you know, son, it looks like you're running east looking for a sunset. You're working really hard, but if you did it a better way and you were willing to be mentored, I think I could help you do really well. So he helped me. The next year I made 32 sales, then 45, then 65, then 99, then 101, and then I bought the company. I took it from 94 agents to 275 agents. We went from 330 million in sales to 1.3 billion in sales, and I became a millionaire in 4 years. I sold it in 2006 because I was traveling North America speaking at realtor offices, and I saw it was happening, and I thought, let me get out at the top of the market. So I sold it for $4 million, and I retired, and I moved to Sarasota, Florida for 2 years to work on my golf game to become a professional golfer along with my son. I did become good, but not good enough. He did become good, but he is today a real estate agent. So both of us went back to what worked. But the girl who I sold the company to defaulted on the payments. She basically took the company over and spent all the money. And so I took the assets back and I started another real estate office in 2013. But prior to that, my thermostat, we'll talk a bit about this today, my financial thermostat, when I lost that $3 million, it set off. I don't know if any of you can relate, but when you have your finances go back to a certain point, you can get that pissed off factor and you're like, I'm not living this way. Mm-hmm. And that's what happened to me. So I put my real estate coat back on, if you can believe it, in 2013. And I sold 65 homes in 9 months. From March 13th until December 31st, I sold 65 properties. And then I opened up another franchise. So I'm really good at building businesses. I mean, I'm good at following a system that works. But what I want to talk to you about today is, well, 3 things. One is your mindset. Number 2 is the mindset of a millionaire. And then number 3, some quick little habits that you can do in this changing market. So if it's okay, I'm going to get started. And you're welcome to put in the chat box any comments if you like to keep notes there. I prefer if you don't talk to each other in this, like, hey, Johnny, how's it going, buddy? Try to stay focused if you can. If you can turn your camera on and you're capable of being there, I personally don't mind if you're naked. I don't know if the rest of the people in this group do. But again, I'm just a very open person. I'm Canadian, so I'll apologize right now. I'm sorry if there's anything I say that will offend you.
Turn on your videos, everyone. We want to see that moneymaker.
That's right. So I look at people that I work with, and I get to work with a lot of people. I worked with Tony Robbins for 20 years. I've done 78 of his events. I've walked on fire 45 times, and I've helped thousands of people get themselves into the state that they could walk across fire, something they didn't think they could do, and help them believe that they could do it. Break boards, break an arrow with, walk on glass, all that stuff. That's kind of my world. That's what I do, is I bring people that are doubtful into an environment that they have doubt in, and we foster a state where they can overcome their limiting belief and create a new result. Does that make sense? And so I'll give you the character traits of the people that struggle. And most people that struggle feel out of control. So what they do is they try to control their outer world. And so they talk about the weather, they talk about politics, they talk about COVID, they talk about things that are outside as a way of feeling like they can get control, because emotionally they're not in control inside. And so those people believe that life is happening to them. Life is unfair, that they're getting the short end of the stick. They don't understand why it's so difficult. But usually what they're trying to do is they're trying to do the least possible, trying to take the easy path, and therefore life is difficult. And I have this saying is, in life, if you do what is difficult, life will be easy. If you keep on trying to do what is easy, like just marketing and have people refer you clients, do the easy part, life will be difficult. Why was I so good at real estate? Because I judged my day not by my harvest, but by the seeds I planted. And every day I prospected. When? Every day. And still today at 60 years old, in the 45 different streams of businesses I have, I prospect every day. When do I prospect?
Every day.
Day. When should you prospect? Every single
Day.
day. Why? Because it's a freaking muscle. And so if it means that you're pumping gas or you're talking to the person at the 7-Eleven, ask them a question. Who takes care of your real estate? Who cares what the answer is? You don't care. What you're measuring is your activity, what you can control. And when you can control that, good things will come to you. The harvest will come in abundance at some point in time. And so if you believe that life is happening to you, you talk about woulda, shoulda, coulda. You hope things will get easier. You wish things would be different. And those are a spending of your precious energy in a way that doesn't give you a return. So when we get up every day, the winners spend their energy in a certain way. I'll get to that in a moment. The people who are really striving do it in a different way. And the people who are the victims or the people who think that life is happening to them or it should be different, they spend it talking to other people, wishing things were different. Does that make sense? I know nobody here, but you know people that speak that way, right? They're always complaining and wishing and blaming. And so we want to move from that. And by the way, we all do it a little bit. At times, the idea is to do it less. So the first stage is where you're out of control and you focus on what you can't control. The second stage is that's when you're like, how many of you have been to a Tony Robbins event? Anybody by a show of hands? So this is Tony's zone. This is the achiever zone. This is like, yes, step up, make it happen, right? And you believe that life is up to you. You have to make it happen. It's difficult and you're willing to take on that challenge. And you have things like in your mind, you're like, I'm a driven person and yes, I can do it. And you get up every day and you attack life and you feel good about it most of the time. But in your brain, you say life is difficult. And often you're not where you want to be, but you're willing to do it. You just believe life is difficult. But what if you could get to the third stage, which is where you have no need for control? Because the achiever wants to control things, wants to say, okay, if it's going to be, it's up to me. But the third level, that's where you have no need for control. That's where you wake up and you accept what is. You understand that the obstacles in front of you are designed to have you grow spiritually. You may choose to run a marathon. You may choose to have 4 kids. You may choose to get up early and do yoga. But every time you get up, you have more of a mantra of, I get to do this. The first person is, oh my God, I have to do this. The second person is, I will do this. And the third person is, I get to do this. This is why I'm here. And you can, God, whatever places something in front of me, a difficult client, it's raining and you don't have your umbrella, it snows and you don't have the thing to clean your car, whatever it is, and you don't care. You know why? Because you get into curiosity. You're like, okay, how am I going to get out of this? Yesterday, I locked myself out of my Tesla and I'm like, okay, this is going to be interesting. I left my phone inside, so I don't have the app. I walk around the car and I'm like, this has happened before. I know I called my son and he was able to get me in because I had my watch, my Apple Watch, but I don't have my Apple Watch on today. What am I going to do? I just started pressing all kinds of buttons and I pressed the trunk and somehow the doors opened. Because I got into curiosity, not into victim, not into, oh my God, I'm screwed. And so I'm going to invite you today to develop the muscle for the rest of your life, if you want to, that when you wake up, that you're a committed person, you're an obsessed person, you're creative, you're curious. And so you don't try to control your client or the market or the economy or COVID, but rather you become curious as how this is going to sculpt your soul. And when you do that, you live more in a zone of fulfillment versus feeling like things are not going your way. Does that make sense to anybody? Just by a show of hand, make sure you're with me. Yes. And so my goal is not just to have you be the rock stars that you are. The goal is to have you happily achieve, feel good about what you do, wake up like Winston Churchill said, and no matter the setbacks, to remain enthusiastic. You see, when you're a child, you're innocent, you're naive, and then you go along and things happen. And if you're not careful, the trauma of our lives, you know, I was the youngest of 7. I got my sob stories. My dad was never there, blah, blah, blah. And you can feel like after a while, jaded and bitter. Imagine I sold my business for $4 million, and this woman buys herself first-class tickets, flies all around the country, buys fancy cars, doesn't run the business well for several years. And then I take back the assets and I lose $3 million. I could be incredibly pissed off. And by the way, when I sold it, she gave me $1 million and the rest was a balance of sale. I took that $1 million, I put it in the stock market with no counsel, and I lost it all. So not the brightest tool in the shed, right? And so up until 50 years old, I ran a program called Life is Difficult, because that's what I was exposed to. Anybody else grew up on a farm or in the military or something, and like, you know, you kind of were exposed to a lot of that. Maybe you run part of that as a program. So up until 50, and I've measured this, my total investments that I lost, and I tried to buy love. I loaned money to my brother-in-law. I loaned money to my best friends. I literally invested in a gold mine in Australia. I did a bunch of things. $7.8 million I made went south in bad investments. And so could I be incredibly bitter? I've been divorced 3 times. Could I be just with a dog, you know, and not in a relationship? Yes, all that's possible. But I keep on bringing myself to curiosity, to commitment, to obsession, to that there's a reason that I'm going to grow and learn from all of this. And I want to invite you to do the same thing, because we're going through tough times with COVID and the COVID hangover and the crystal generation. I don't know if you've heard about that. You touch a young person and you ask them to work too hard and they quit. The quiet canceling, you have people that just disappear and they quit on email and they don't want to take responsibility and be accountable. I see some heads nodding. You know what I'm talking about. This is a time for us, I believe, truly to take full responsibility for your contribution to the results in your life. And when you do that, the emotional state is critical. And so if you can jot this down or remember it, if you're driving, say it out loud so you remember it, is creativity, curiosity, commitment, obsession. I'll give you a couple of examples. So I was going to play squash. I was on a team. I arrive at the club. We're playing outside at a competitor's, and I forgot my running shoes. And I'm one of the 4 people playing. And I'm like, okay, out of control, victim, wish, could, should, would. No, I don't play in that territory. You know, I'm going to make it happen and it's up to me. Yes. And get into curiosity. I went to the reception. I asked them, do you have any shoes in the lost and found? After I had scanned the gym and talked to a bunch of people and nobody wanted to lend me their stinky shoes. So I went to the receptionist and she found 1 pink shoe. And it was a little small, but if I took my sock off, I could jam my foot in if I took the bottom part out. And so I put the 1 pink shoe on. I stood in the court with 1 bare foot, 1 pink shoe. And my competitor looked at me and says, what are you doing? So I explained, I lost my shoes. I'm going to play this way. He goes, you can't play that way. I go, why not? He goes, well, you're going to lose. And I go, let's go. You do not want to wake me up. I had 6 brothers and sisters that kept on making me want to lose. And that sparked something in me. And so sure enough, I won the game. But what I want to give you is that I went into curiosity and creativity. And when you are committed and curious, you can achieve anything. What if you were to practice that for the rest of your life? Something comes along, you said, what's great about this? I got a flat tire. What's great about this? I've got a spare. I got to change my flat tire. It's not on the side of the road where I'm going to get run over by a truck. It's on the other side. Yes, I can put some music on. I know how to do it. I can be back on the road in 15 minutes. Yes. Right. And so I've built this muscle, and I'm well known for asking this question. What's great about this? And so how you get yourself back into what I call the genius zone or the fulfillment zone is to ask a better question. And when you ask that better question, it directs your focus. And when it directs your focus, what you focus on, you feel. If you focus right now on your left butt cheek and how it feels on your chair and the heat or the material, you notice it more than you did before because you were not focused on it. Right? You ever notice that? Like, I just went to Burning Man recently, and all of a sudden I rented an RV, and now I see RVs everywhere, RV parks, RVs for sale, RV driving. I'm looking at the size of it, at the 35, the 32, which one is, like, totally changed my perspective on the world. Never really saw RVs before. How many of you know what I'm talking about, right? Like, something becomes important to you and you focus on it. But what if you focused on being grateful for the challenges in your life, for that difficult client, because it's going to prepare you to be better for the next difficult client? What if you don't feel like working out, but you get yourself up out of your bed and you go to yoga class, and afterwards, how good do you feel, right? You feel great. And so the conversation you have with yourself is critical. So I ask you to ask yourself a better question, right? What's great about this? The achiever asks, what can I do now? Which is better than, why is this happening to me? Which the victim asks. But when you start to develop that muscle and you get excited about it, your life will change. Now, let me back you up for a second. Why are you all here on this call? Right? Other than the fact that Tom is a great leader and an inspiration, and he, puts in extra effort to provide you guys with value. Why are you here? Why are you an agent? Why are you doing what you're doing? 6 years ago, I bought my mother a house. She was in a senior assisted living, and she was going backwards, downhill. Why? Because environment is more powerful than anything else. And so she was affected by people that were older than her and not as dynamic as her. And she put on like 30, 40 pounds. And that pissed me off. So one day I was buying a flip property and I was showing her, and she walked in and she started crying. And I go, why are you crying? She goes, this home reminds me of the home I grew up in. And I knew I had to buy it for her. So I bought it. And 2 weeks later, I had 30 people hidden in the house. I drove her by again and I brought her into her and we celebrated, and she cried again. And she's been living in it for six years now. And sometimes when she pisses me off, I feel like saying, well, Mom, I'm gonna take the house away from you. But mostly she's good. But she lost 40 pounds moving into the house. She has a garden in the backyard. She putters around. She has a garage that she keeps antiques in and does some little things. She stores things for the neighbors. Her life has transformed because I won the money game. I was intentional about figuring out how to make money. And so every day I get up, I'm 60 years old. I get up and I'm excited about life. And if you're not excited about life, you got to find something outside of you that's going to excite you. Because one day you're going to be dead. So stop trying to live safe and just eke by and survive and be comfortable. Get to your edge, especially my men, I'm talking to you. Get to your edge. Be part of a men's group or something where you can get back into your warrior energy. I look at some of the kids growing up today, some of my friends and their kids, I can't tell if they're a man or a woman. They're like 17-year-old boy. I was down in Puerto Rico and I'm like, I can't tell. And there's no judgment there. But as a man, if you have masculine energy, you should go to your edge. You should get used to pushing yourself, get your ass in the gym, work out, step up, be strong, be responsible, protect the feminine women in your life, have pride, create something, build something, grow something. Today is the time that we got to claim back and take full responsibility for our life. That's the way I see it. So I've written a bunch of books. The first one is called The Power of Your Identity. And it has to do with the words that follow I am, follow you. My brothers and sisters called me Pizza Face. Up until I was 29, I felt I was ugly. And then somebody told me I could change that. And I changed it to ruggedly handsome. I just kept on saying, I'm ruggedly handsome, I'm ruggedly handsome, I'm ruggedly handsome, until I started to believe it. Then I started to say, I'm the best real estate agent in Montreal. I'm the best real estate agent in Montreal. A few years later, I bought the company. Words become your world. What are you saying to yourself? You all have a pizza face, something from your past that makes you feel less than what you can be. So I invite you to change the narrative, whatever that is. I'm too short, I'm too tall, I don't speak enough languages, I'm shy, I'm introverted, I grew up in this family, I'm divorced, I can't find it, whatever it is. Decide what the ultimate identity is, right? So for me, I'm a ripped athletic machine and I'm ruggedly handsome, right? And so I have a whole mantra. I'm gifted, guided, grateful, powerful, passionate, playful, sexy, sensual, sensitive, happy, healthy, horny. I have a whole litany of things that I say mostly during my yoga or any other time when I'm working out to remind myself and to reaffirm my identity, because 95% of what we think tomorrow is from what we're thinking today, but most of it's negative. Does that make sense? Right? And so if you're going to repeat something, you might as well add a new record to your repertoire, a new track, one that makes you feel freaking awesome, right? I have a shirt that says, I don't apologize for being awesome. And I surround myself with people that say that. So let me shift gears now and go from mindset to money and talk a little bit about that as we head toward the wrap up here. Then I have a gift for you. If any of you will want, let me see if I did this correctly. You can get my book, it's called Your Epic Life Blueprint. It's 10 chapters of the 10 top things that I teach when I do coaching. And so I've been coaching for a long time. I give you a long list of my credentials: NLP certified practitioner, hypnotherapist, yada, yada, yada. But if you've been to a Tony Robbins event, just think about, I've been to 78. I can finish Tony's sentences. And so if you appreciate his work, then you understand that I have that knowledge and ability to transform people's state and get them to get the results that they want. But if we talk about money, I grew up with parents. My mother was what we call a money monk. And she is somebody that believes that you can't be spiritual and rich at the same time. So she never made more than $20,000. And she's the type of person that will go through her neighbor's garbage to make sure that there's not a can in there that she can bring to the store for 5 cents. She just does it because that's her belief. That's what she's exposed to. My father made a lot of money, but he was a poor investor. And that's what I modeled for the first 50 years of my life without knowing it. We unconsciously monkey see, monkey do. So if you want to, I have a mastermind group I started. You may have heard of it. Some of you may have heard of it. It's called GoBundance, about 9-10 years ago. It's a tribe of healthy, wealthy, generous men that choose to lead epic lives and don't apologize for being awesome while grabbing life big. There's 800 members. They're all millionaires. And then I started another tribe 7 years ago, people that weren't millionaires, and I've created over 150. I've lost count since then. 150 millionaires, quantifiable, measurable, documentable. And the way we did it is through the few things I'm going to leave with you right now. Number one, pay yourself first. Number one, pay yourself first. How do you do that? Is you live below your means. How do you do that? You have discipline. How do you do that? You have rituals that create a result called live below your means. So that's number one, pay yourself first. Sadly, 97% of the population approximately don't do that. They are in the first stage I talked about, and they're wishing that things are going to get better in the future. They're hoping things are going to get better instead of getting better themselves. You see, the evolved, fulfilled person, the genius person, wants to have challenges. Tom Brady wants to have to defy the odds. Muhammad Ali wants a worthy opponent, right? People want worthy opponents because they were forced to step up themselves. So the first thing is you got to pay yourself first. It's at least 10% of what you earn. And the second thing is you should spend 10% on your own education. Coaches, trainers, books, events, seminars, and be happy to spend that money. I lost count over $1 million on what I spent on myself on different courses. So number one, pay yourself first. Number two is if you don't tell your money where to go, you're not going to know where it went. So you need to manage your money. Your new part-time job is to manage your money. And trust me, after working with thousands of people in my mastermind groups, every single human has an opportunity to save money just by managing it. You have apps you're not using. You have memberships you're not using. You are spending way too much money on takeout and on ordering in and on going out. You could change all that if you wanted to and do what Grant Cardone says is start broke every day and take that money and invest it in multifamily. And that leads me to the third point is invest in creating massive passive income. Massive passive income. The way that you're free, which is what we all want, right? We want emotional freedom, but we want also time freedom. The way you get free is not by just having a great real estate career, which hopefully you have, but is by having passive income. I bought a property up in Montreal 23 years ago for $781,000. It's worth $5 million today. It gives me $20,000 a month. It's a commercial building. It's managed. I don't have to do anything. I get $20,000 a month. And it's acted like an ATM machine because every 5 years I can go back and refinance it and pull $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 out and buy another property. How many of you follow? Does that make sense? All right, just to make sure you're there, high five to the person beside you. Come on, give a high five, baby. And on the other side over here, high five. And on top, high five. Give them a feeling tap on the wall. And down below. Yes, okay, beautiful. Good. So you want to purchase real estate, you want to buy maybe dividend stocks and stuff like that. And those are the tips I'm going to give you. I could go on and on, but that's if you just stuck with that formula and you made your intention was not to earn to spend, which is what 95% of the population do, but you earn to invest, then you'll be free at some point in time. And it won't take you as long as you think. The next thing I suggest you do when we look at the habits of a millionaire, number one is invest in a peer group. Find a way that you have 5 really great people that are, in fact, in some way further down the road than you are, Harry or Mike, right? Or Douglas, is choose one area of your life, and I'll just choose 3 for now: your health, your relationships, and money. Surround yourself with people that are richer than you, period. I have billionaire friends, not friends that I get to hang out with on a regular basis, but acquaintances. But I have many friends that are worth 100 and 200 million, and we go in their private jet, whatever the case may be, but they think differently, they behave differently, they have resources, they are more relaxed around money, they're not stressed out, and you need to feel that. You need to experience it. I got onto Celebrity Apprentice because I said yes to getting to a game of golf. We were on his jet and he got invited to raise some money for Celebrity Apprentice for Ricky Williams at the time. This is back about 6 years ago. And he says, "You want to come?" I said, yes. I was just carrying the briefcase of $41,000 for the fundraiser, walked in the door, and then Boy George walked up to me and he goes, "What's in the briefcase?" I popped it open. It was $41,000 of cash. They brought the cameras over and you can see it. Just type in Boy George Celebrity Apprentice and you'll see me 30 seconds on Donald Trump's Celebrity Apprentice. All I did was say yes 3 or 4 different times when most people would have said no because they go, "Oh, I'm busy, I don't know." I just kept on saying yes. And I'm surround myself with people that are further down the road than me. That's number one on the top of my list. Find those 5 people that are gonna look at you, Charlie or Joy, and say, "Fucking right, go for it. I got you. I see you. You can do it." Not people that doubt you, like, God, I don't know, Troy. Like, it's a little bit of a bubble right now, Lindsay. I don't know, be safe. Hope you don't, be careful, Brett. No, you want people that are like looking at you and saying, "Okay, what are we going to create together? What's your biggest dream?" In fact, next time you hang out with people, ask them that question. What's your biggest dream? What's your biggest dream? Not what's your dream, what's your biggest dream? And see what they answer you, Ethan. What's your biggest dream, right? And think about it. You should know this too. And it should be part of your why. My biggest dream is to create whole life millionaires so that their family doesn't have to suffer because they're at work and away all the time. That's what I do. So I do it on a regular basis. I give people the tools and resources, the mindset, and then the vehicle to do it. So invest in your peer group, invest in yourself. And if you get my book, I put the link here in the chat box. I highly recommend you do. It's for free, except you're gonna have to pay a whopping $7 or something for shipping. If you like Audible, you can go and get it on Audible. It's not my voice. I hired somebody to do it. And true story, about 3 years ago, I was on the beach in Mexico listening to my own book spoken by another guy. And I got so excited by listening to it. I'm like, I went back to tell my wife, I'm like, God, I'm so fired up. I'm listening to this book. And she goes, what book? And I'm like, holy crap, it's my book. It's such a hilarious story because it was like a different guy's voice. But anyway, mastery through repetition. So I invite you to get it and go to chapter 8. And I'll end on this. Chapter 8 is tell me what you do before 8 o'clock in the morning and after 8 o'clock at night. And I can predict your financial future for the rest of your life. You see, you can stumble your way through the day. You can go on some appointments, you can go to the office, you can hang out in your office at home, you can go to Starbucks and meet a client, you can go visit a property, show a property, whatever, go on a listing presentation that never sells. You can do all that, and you can tell yourself and you can tell the people around you, you can tell your spouse that the market's changing and it's difficult, right? Or you can decide that the first thing you're going to do when you get up in the morning is what champions do, which is half an hour or an hour for yourself. And I outline the things in the book that you can really do what the most successful people do. It includes meditation, exercise, visualization, etc. You could write a chapter to your next book or a page to your next book before you go to work. You could start a new sideline. You could look at investment properties. You could get educated on something. You could practice and rehearse your script for when you get on the phone. You can do things that make you a better person and then get to your job. And then at the end of the day, when you've done your job and you've spent time with your family, your loved ones and dinner and your kids, et cetera, if you're not too tired because you had too many glasses of wine at dinner, after 8 o'clock, you improve your skills again, or you meditate, you visualize, you get peaceful, right? You do stuff to become a better version of yourself. Maybe you work out again. Maybe go to a late sound healing class, whatever it is. And so if you start to do some of these things, or if you're doing them already, you just got to affirm today that you're on a great path, then there's no reason that you can't achieve and create all the things that you want. And my desire for you is that you wake up tomorrow morning with a smile on your face and you say, what's great about today? And that every little challenge that comes your way, every client that's difficult, on some level inside, you have a little smirk and you're like, is that all you got? You can't stop me because I am unstoppable. I approach everything with enthusiasm, with energy. Energy always wins. Bring more energy into the room. Be the type of person that walks into the room and they're like, who is that? Because you did the work before 8 o'clock in the morning and after 8 o'clock at night on yourself. When I go to Tony Robbins, they're the ones that have me go on stage and have me do the mock fire walk. The guy who can, do what Tony does. Yes, let's go. Yes, yes, yes. Right? And then storm across the stage with no water on it, with no fire on it, because I'm willing to pay the price to practice in private so I can perform in public like a pro. I'll say that again. When you're willing to pay the price of practice in private, then you will perform in public like a pro. If I got any golfers there, when your buddies give you those 3 and 4 foot putts and then you pay for money, and now you have to make them, you know what I'm talking about. A little bit different. How you do anything is how you do everything. And so when you pay the price in private to practice, rehearse, to eat well, to exercise, to think well, to love the people around you, to be playful, then life will reward you. And so I hope I get to see you on the journey. I hope that you do sincerely get my book so that I can continue to impact your lives and we can wrap it up. Tom, if you want to leave, open it to any questions before we wrap up, or if you want to wrap it up, because I think I went over by 5 minutes. It's up to you.
Yeah, questions. We've got time for 1 or 2 questions. Rapid fire. Who's got it? Rock and roll. Don't be shy. Come on, now's your chance.
I don't have a question, but I absolutely loved how he said sculpt your soul and bring your warrior energy out in you. Very good. I love that. All of our daily practices, mindset, everything.
Thank you, Kim. Yeah.
I have a question.
Fantastic, Rock.
I got a
One
question.
question here.
I-
I've got a question. You said creativity, curiosity, commitment, and I missed the fourth one.
Well, there was a lot of them, but if I was to look at my notes, curiosity, commitment, creativity, enthusiasm, be obsessed, and it will create that you're unstoppable.
Awesome. And then Brett Swartz, last question. Brett, go ahead.
Yeah. For your purpose, if it's changed in this last year, right? If it's changed, how has it changed? And then what's the one thing that helps your mind to refocus on your purpose? I know you're doing the morning rituals, or you're doing the morning, miracle mornings, or all of those things. But is there anything else that you're doing to make sure that you refocus on your purpose?
I think that for me, purpose is living fully, being grateful that I'm alive. And so I get up and I just have this habit of playing full out. I'll end it on this story, Tom, is there's two packers at my local grocery store. I go to one and he's very intentional about packing the bag. And he always asks me if he can bring the bag to the car. And then the other guy is always, lackadaisical. He puts the eggs in, he puts the milk on top, whatever. And I'm a curious guy. I interview the two of them. And the one guy who's haphazard, he's like, they pay me $13 an hour, whatever it is, whether I go fast or not. So I don't really care, in essence. And the other guy, he goes, you know what? Every time I try to pack it a little better, every time I try to make eye contact with the customer, every time I ask them if I could bring it to the car, and I keep my numbers. And about 4 out of 10 people will let me bring it to the car, and 3 out of 10 of those 4 will tip me. And I'm fired up and excited because every time I get to improve a little bit. And so, Brett, that's me. I play pickleball and I want to improve every time. I take lessons. I watch YouTube. I show up and I want to be remembered for a guy who just played full out all the time. That's my purpose.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Well, so much, Rock. Thank you, everyone. The 4 things. Number 1, mindset, think big, growth-minded, constantly learning and growing mindset. Number 2 is how we spend our time, extremely disciplined, the right things in the right order. Number 3 is who you spend your time with. It's just, Jim Rohn says you're the sum total of the 5 people you spend most time with. And then number 4 is take action. So right now we are seeing a shift in this market. And so we need to step up. More millionaires are made in down markets than any other time. So I'm committed to step up. And starting on Tuesday, November the 1st, we're going to have Dialing for Dollars, group calling. We're going to log in at 9:45 a.m. and we're going to have role play. And then from 10 to noon, we're going to do Zoom calling so we can reach out, lead with our heart, share with others, and connect with our database, other people, whether it's agent attraction, whether it's for sale by owners, whether it's people that want to sell. People right now, they're scared. There's a lot of fear right now out in this market right now. And so they're looking to us as the professionals for certainty. So there's the link. We'll give you more info. Thanks again, Rock. Thank you all. Happy Friday. You all got your inspiration. Time to put into perspiration. Let's go. Thanks, guys. See ya. Have a good day.